Welcome back to our little robin, part 2, and where I complete this lovely crystal champagne flute. I've got a very large diamond burr, and this is one of my sintered diamonds. Diamond grit all the way through, and started off quite deep, but where I got to the little feet there, I went very, very lightly, and the feet I had engraved with Dura White earlier on, and that is slightly deep into the glass, and so by going over the top very lightly with a diamond, it is still showing where the feet are. So we can come back and finish that later. But in the meantime, I'm back to going quite deep, this time with a smaller diamond. It's always important when you are doing twigs, branches, that sort of thing, that you start off quite thick, but then you slim the branches out as you go upwards and outwards towards the end. I'm on the back of the glass now, and lots of water, and just carrying on with the same vein. It's really nice and thick at the bottom of this glass, and so I'm going quite deep, because you want to be able to see the depth of it from the other side in a lovely sort of 3D effect. Having a quick peep. Slightly smaller diamond burr. It's a little tricky, even with my fancy light on, a little bit tricky to see the very fine Dura White preparation lines that I made when they're wet, and so I was struggling a little bit. Also because with engraving deeply, you're producing quite a lot of dusty water there, and so it's very hard to see. So if that is the case and you're battling to see your little preparatory lines, then just work dry until you've got it all mapped in. So a very much smaller diamond burr now, just to add a few little twiggy bits at the end. I have a small green stone in the drill now, and I'm just looking for some slightly rough edges just to smooth them out a little bit. You can use any stone or even diamond that is of a finer grit, just to neaten up any chippy bits that you see. There is a fair amount of dust coming off, so make sure you have got your mask on. I normally have my dust extractor as well on, and you would be seeing the dust floating upwards and outwards, but I didn't have it on today actually. But I did have my mask, of course. And glasses. Okay, I think I might have changed to a Dura White here. And I'm going along randomly along the branches, and this is creating a slightly duller effect. A little sort of dull bark effect here and there, a little bit of texture. It just means that when we go back and polish it later, it will be even darker in the areas that I've touched up with this Dura White. It's a pre-polishing stone, and what it's doing is just smoothing out the glass slightly before it is smoothed out even more with the rubber. On its own, you can see that it has dulled the branches quite a lot already. We don't really want them to be stark white. Back to a larger diamond, and I'm creating my little berries. This is a fantasy little bush or tree or whatever you want to call it. It's literally branches, berries, and a robin. So there's nothing, there's no botanical study about it. You're just having fun. Going slightly deep with these little berries so that they appear to be protruding. When you are putting one berry behind the other, remember to be a little bit more shallow. Otherwise you'll get the bubble effect, a little bit like the first couple that I did. I should have mentioned that. Right, I have the Dura White in the drill, and I'm just pre-polishing these little berries because I would like to make them nice and shiny. Remember, with this burr, always run it very slowly. Never run it very fast. Then I decided, out of the blue, to add some little leaves, literally just with the Dura White, and this will produce some sort of dull little leaves, nothing too bright, just for a little bit of fun. I didn't need to do that, and in fact they're random shapes. You could make them holly shaped leaves, or no leaves at all, it doesn't matter, it's probably winter. Just very, very simplified leaves. And do remember that I speed this video up quite considerably. I don't engrave at the speed that you're watching. Rightio, I'm going over some of these branches, these little twigs, with the Dura White, and this is now making the skinnier ones quite a lot darker. You can actually make some branches and twigs just with the Dura White. You don't have to do it with a diamond first like I did. Here I have got a little skinny rubber, and this is now polishing out the berries quite nicely. You can see them already looking quite shiny. Remember, if you've got a new one in the drill, which looks like I've got a fairly new one, it's quite long, and so be very careful how fast you run the drill, because if you go too fast it will go all bendy and go all flippy floppy all over the place and will no longer be usable. Well, I say that, but sometimes if you cut it in half, if you can find it, if it hasn't gone flying across the room, you can make it shorter and shove it back in. But otherwise, just run it relatively slowly. Just running it across a couple of the leaves, making them even darker. Here I have a rubber disc which I have flipped over. I was just showing you the funny shape of it. I had worn it out the other way round, and in order to make use of the nice sort of sharp edge of it, I have unscrewed it and flipped it over and screwed it back in again, and off we go. And what this is doing is producing an even darker shadow, and it's picking up the ridges that are created both with the diamond and the Dura white. Here I am actually polishing it out quite a lot, because as I mentioned in the first video, this little branch at the back, which is behind the bird, if you look at it with the bird directly in front of it, I don't want it to show that much through the bird. You don't want to be able to see the branch through the bird that much, so keeping it duller and darker. You can still see it's there. It's still very effective. Now I noticed that this secondary branch was a little bit fatter than the one before, so I am thickening it up. So I've gone back in with a diamond and then with a Dura white again. If you look through to the other side of the glass, you can see the little berries peeping through. I have got Dura white in the drill, and I'm just going over the little feet. Making up those little ridged effects. And with a little rat's tail, I'm just adding the sort of claws, quite sharp, where you can see they are not going around the branch when they're sticking out, keeping them nice and neat and sharp. Taking this rubber disc again, I'm going over the branch, and where I've gone deep, it's not affecting that at all, but it is giving a nice little shade under the belly of the robin. And back to the little rat's tail. Around the bird's eye, there's this funny little dotty effect, which I'm adding now, and also some tiny little highlighted bits of feathering. Because when I'm engraving this, I am turning the glass slightly towards the camera, and sometimes I struggle to see it. And I saw once I was editing the footage that on the bottom beak there's a little sort of a lumpy bit, which I will get rid of when I'm back in the office. And it's funny, you sometimes do notice things. Even when you're taking photographs of your glass, you can notice something that is wrong, that you've missed. And so I will fix that. So there were a few more highlighted bits down on the red part of his feathering. And here I'm adding some more of those feathers flicking up into the dark area. Always sign your work, a signature or a little cipher or something, and the date. There you go. I'm just pointing out how that branch is dark, and so you can't really see it through the bird. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye for now.